It's iHeart Radio Live, featuring Taylor Momsen of The Pretty Reckless. Here's your host, AJ.
Hi, I'm AJ, and joining me today, none other than Taylor Momsen from The Pretty Reckless. If there's anything you want to ask her, make sure to comment with your questions below. Hey, Taylor, how you doing today?
Hello, I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm great. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. How's everything been going with you, considering everything that's happening in the world right now?
It's crazy times we're living in, huh?
Yeah.
I'm doing all right. A new single came out, Death by Rock and Roll, and just kind of riding the wave with everyone else right now. Riding the storm out.
Now, where have you been riding the storm out at?
I'm in Maine actually right now. I luckily got out of New York City like just in time, like 2 days before quarantine started. So
Oh, wow.
that was, just happenstance. I was coming back up here because we were starting rehearsal for tour, or I should say finishing rehearsal for tour, and then quarantine happened or hit, and here I am.
Wow. Well, how's the weather going in Maine right now?
It's finally starting to get warm. It was a brutal winter, but like most Maine winters, and so it's nice that the weather's finally starting to change, and I can actually step outside without being all bundled up. So it's good. It's not the worst place in the world to be quarantined by any means.
Oh, I wouldn't think so. I've heard a lot of great things about Maine. So I'm really excited because we've been waiting for so long for this new album from you guys, and unfortunately, with everything that's hit. Do we have any idea when Death by Rock and Roll is going to be coming out?
That seems to be the never-ending question. We don't have an exact release date yet, just because we're in such unprecedented times right now. But the single's out right now, and there's going to be a lot more music coming before the full album. So it's not like we're going to go dark again. This is just the beginning.
Now, speaking of dark, when you hear the title, Death by Rock and Roll, got to admit, sounding morbid AF there. But it is so rock and roll, and it's so killer. And that cover that you did for the album, absolutely exquisite. You go, girl. What was that like? Can you take us through the process of, coming up with not only the album title, but the song, Death by Rock and Roll?
Yeah, I mean, Death by Rock and Roll was kind of a song that was like 10 years in the making. I guess to give you a little bit of a backstory, went through a lot of tragedy in the past few years, a lot of loss. From Chris Cornell passing, we were on that Soundgarden tour, to then my best friend and our producer Cato passed on a motorcycle accident. So I went pretty down there for a while, kind of fell into depression and wasn't exactly sure how I was gonna get out of that, or if I kind of even was. And to make a really long story short, it was music. Music is what I turn to, and it's the one thing in my life that's never let me down. It's the thing that's always been my salvation. And I kind of turned to listening to music and to writing, and everything just started to kind of pour out. And Death by Rock and Roll is the title track of the record, and really was kind of the statement that I went, okay, I have a direction. I know where I'm going now. And the song is really it's a battle cry for rock and roll. It was our anthem of rock and roll, of live life your own way, go out your own way, freedom, don't let anyone tell you differently, rock and roll till you die, which is, it's how I live my life. It's an ethic, it's a mentality, it's a mindset, it's a religion. It's, that's what rock and roll is to me. So really trying to encompass all that into one song, but then it's just, the song is simply just the tip of the iceberg of this record. So it's the first track on the record, and that's why I'm kind of excited that it's the first thing people get to hear, because it really introduces the record in the way that I want it to.
Everybody's loving it so far. I know I've heard nothing but positive, great responses from people. Is that the reception that you've been getting as well?
It's been quite overwhelming, yes. the positive response. I mean, you never know what to expect when you release music into the world, but especially during a pandemic, the most unprecedented thing that's happened in I don't know how many years, that it's scary. And to see so much love and such an overwhelmingly positive response back has been really, really rewarding, and I'm really thankful for that.
Now, any idea when we might hear more from the new album?
Hopefully soon. I'll stick with my stupid catchphrase, soon. Right. I mean, Death by Rock and Roll's only been out for like 3 weeks or something right now, so it's moving pretty fast. But we've got other stuff locked and loaded and ready to ready to come flying your way.
Now, I hear on the new album, you also, speaking of reverting back to with Chris Cornell, and you guys were on tour with Soundgarden, but you also had the chance with this new album, you got to work with some of the guys from Soundgarden once again. What was that like?
We did. Amazing. I love those guys so much. I had this song called Only Love Can Save Me Now. And I called them up and it's Matt and Kim from Soundgarden. And I went, guys, this is begging for you to play on this. Like, I'm sending this to you. Are you guys in? And they said yes, which was amazing. And we flew to Seattle, which was great. We got to record at London Bridge Studios, which was amazing. It's such an iconic place. And they made Pearl Jam's 10 there, and Soundgarden's Louder Than Love, and records upon records, the list goes on and on. But to be in such an iconic studio with such iconic musicians making something new was so great. It was so cool. It was just a wonderful experience, and it really turned out awesome. I can't wait for people to hear that one.
My God, like, how do you top that? That's amazing.
I know. It was just surreal.
That's really surreal. Now, are there any other studios? I mean, it's hard to talk about the future when we're still trying to make this future happen, especially with everything that's been put on pause with COVID. But any other studios that you can maybe, that you want to try in the future with, because that's just amazing. You have to be at that studio.
I mean, it's a dream of mine to record at Abbey Road.
Yeah.
If isn't that every musician's dream, is to record where the Beatles recorded? So, I mean, that would be a dream come true. So maybe one day.
Yeah. Well, here's to hopefully getting that dream. So with everything happening right now with quarantine, what have you been spending your time doing? Because you're originally supposed to be on the road. You had this fantastic tour lined up, and obviously that got pushed back, which I'm so sorry to hear. Hopefully we can see you guys sooner than later. But what have you been doing to kill the time?
I mean, a lot of press, if I'm being honest, a lot because the song's out. But aside from that, really just I've been playing a ton of guitar. Like that's how I've been filling my time, of just playing lots of songs just for fun. I've been really into Oasis recently, so I'm just kind of going down the Oasis records and learning all the songs just for fun. So yeah, playing a lot of guitar, watching television, Netflix, trying to work out from home, trying to motivate to do that, failing and succeeding depending on the day. But just kind of waiting and riding the storm out and trying to keep sane.
So any recommendations on Netflix shows?
I mean, I just finished Ozark. So I would definitely recommend Ozark to anyone who has not seen it.
That's me. And that's next on my list. I've heard a lot of great things about it. Yeah. Top 3 takeaways from Ozark that you can share.
Well, if you haven't seen it, I'm going to give too much away.
Okay, well, not too much away, but
I love Jason Bateman. I've always loved Jason Bateman, but this made me really love Jason Bateman. The character Ruth is just awesome. She's so badass. In top 3, I don't know, there's so many jaw-dropping moments that it's just great. I have no idea where it's going to go next, and anytime you think it's going to disappoint, it doesn't.
Oh, awesome. Well, thank you. I appreciate the recommendation there. So, all right, let's see here.
I'm out of shows. Do you have any recommendations? Because now I'm out.
Well, you know what? There's a couple of shows I got sucked into. Have you ever heard of the show Working Moms?
No, maybe? No?
That one's on Netflix. I found it. One of my coworkers recommended that one for me, and it is hilarious. It's a show that's filmed up in Canada, and it's a Canadian TV show, but it is absolutely epic. It's hilarious. You don't have to have a kid in order to relate or to enjoy it. So definitely recommend that one. And then, of course, another one I got sucked into was Tiger King. Did you see any of the Tiger King drama?
I got sucked into Tiger King too after pretty much everyone I know called and said, you have to watch this show. It's ridiculous. I succumbed and watched it, and it's, I don't even know what to say about that. It was, I binge watched it in the night, if that's any indication of, wow.
Do you think Carol was guilty?
Definitely.
Awesome.
What do you think?
So, in addition, earlier we were talking about your new album. Matt and Kim are on it. I also hear a rumor that, is it true that Tom Morello makes an appearance on this new album?
It is. Yeah, it was shaped up to be a pretty awesome record. Yeah, Tom's on a song called "And So It Went," which is kind of a similar story to the guys in Soundgarden. Which I had this song, I called them up and said, "Hey, Tom, this is begging for you to be on it. This is screaming for your voice." I mean, he has, in my book, he's one of the best guitar players in the world, and he has such a unique sound and energy and voice with his guitar that is so undeniably him. That I was like, this really needs you on it, and is this something you'd be interested in? And he said yes. And I'll tell you, and no one's heard it yet, so it's hard for me to talk about the music. But when he comes in wailing, and it's everything. It's everything you want.
Now, when you get to work with these people, and because it's your song and you've got everything this idea to it, do they come in, do they hear that and they play it to a T as you imagined, or do they end up maybe putting a spin? How does that process work?
I guess it's a little bit of both. I mean, I think when calling musicians or when collaborating, I'm calling them to do what they do. I'm not trying to change them into something else. Like, I'm calling them for what they do. So it's really let them do their thing and see how that's going to embellish what I've done. And so that's the cool part about it, of seeing a collaboration come to life, is you have this song, and when you put all the pieces together, it fulfills what's in your head. And you can just kind of see it come to life in real time, and it's really awesome.
Now, what are 3 things you hope that people will take away from this new album?
Good question. I honestly don't know. I don't really think like that. I hope people just give it a chance to listen to it. I hope it maybe sparks some people's interest to listen to rock and roll more and maybe pick up an instrument. I hope it can inspire, and I hope that maybe it can help some people in some way. I mean, that's what music has done for me. It's been my rock my whole life, and it's gotten me through the hardest times in my life and the best times in my life. And hopefully there's something on this album for everyone that they can relate to.
Now, when you're having a really bad day or you're going through those dark times, are there any certain songs that you just have to hear, that you put on repeat to just help get you through?
It changes, but I mean, Soundgarden's kind of always on my playlist, good times and bad times. The Beatles are always on there. It's like just comfort. I feel like when I'm in a bad mood, I tend to go to either really angry music or just comfort music, which sometimes overlap is the same thing, but just stuff that I feel is very familiar to me. So it's, it feels like a hug. So the Beatles and, Soundgarden and Rage Against the Machine, if I want to get, real pumped. What else? The Doors, Pink Floyd, The Who, Zeppelin, AC/DC.
Hallelujah.
And it goes on and on and on.
God, I have just been in a Zeppelin kick lately. And I mean, not that I've never have been, but, like yesterday, I probably listened to I Can't Quit You, Babe, like about 10 times in a row. Just, it's.
Of course.
It just speaks to you, gets to your soul. And
it does. Once it gets in there, there's no getting it out. I think that's the best part about rock and roll, is like once it gets inside your soul and gets inside your blood, even if it's just a little taste of it, it's there for life. And then it's just this flood of music that is left to investigate, because it just keeps going back and back and back in history. So once you think you've discovered it all, you haven't. There's more. So it's a really fun thing to fall in love with.
Now, speaking of falling in love and investigating and finding new things, if there was something that you think everybody should experience at least once in their lifetime, what would that be? What would you recommend?
Once in your lifetime? I mean, I think you definitely have to go to a live show. If you've never been to a concert before, I think that's something you have to do. Whatever style of music floats your boat, that's up to you. But to see music being performed live and to feel that energy, there's nothing else like it. It's really moving. And I think that that's something that everyone should experience at least once.
Now, do you prefer, for you personally, if you're spectating, do you prefer to be in a more intimate venue, or do you like going out and being a part of the bigger crowds and the bigger festivals and the bigger audiences?
I think it depends. I think it depends on my mood, I think, because they're two very different events, and they both fulfill you in different ways. An intimate in intimate settings, really, I love playing intimate venues, just because you can really connect with the audience in a different kind of way than you can with a mass crowd. But then at the same time, when you have a massive audience in front of you, it's this almost like a cultural movement of so many people just in the same space at the same time, feeling the same thing. And it's really cool to watch and be a part of. So I don't know, both. Okay, how about this? The one thing you have to do in your life is you have to go to an intimate show and a huge show. You have to both ends of the spectrum.
Yes, definitely. I'm right there with you. I know for me personally, Red Rocks. I've never been there. I've been to so many concerts, but that's still on my bucket list. So
I want to see, I really want to see Rage Against the Machine. I've never seen them live, and that's certainly on my bucket list.
Call your boy Tom up. What's up, man?
Tom, hook me up. But now, of course, everything's on pause now as far as live shows go. But once it comes back around, I'm hitting that one up.
If you could have dinner with 3 people, dead or alive, who would they be? Who'd be sitting at Taylor Momsen's table?
This is a good question. Maybe, okay, well, John Lennon would be my bucket list. John Lennon for sure. Martin Luther King, I think, would be amazing. And I haven't really seen any, because I don't have a great third answer. I haven't seen anyone in 3 months, so maybe my neighbor.
Why not? Yeah.
My neighbor, the band. I don't like friend. That work.
That's awesome. That would be a good table. Now, what table would you be at? If you could pick anywhere, since everybody's been in quarantine, nobody's been able to go out to restaurants. Where's that place going to be?
That's another good question. Definitely somewhere in New York. I don't know what cuisine though. I don't know. I really miss Joe's Pizza in New York. It's not exactly table setting, but I would kill for a slice of Joe's.
Girl, you're speaking my language. Is that like a to-go, like pizza to go? And
it is. It's my favorite pizza in New York. It's Joe's Pizza.
What toppings you get on your pizza?
Cheese, just straight up New York slice cheese. Maybe if I'm feeling crazy, a little pepperoni, but cheese.
That a woman. It has been a fantastic time talking to you today. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us, especially with everything that's happening in the world. And if you could give anybody a message of hope through these uncertain times right now, any words or any quotes that help get you through, is there any that you could maybe share with us?
Yeah, I mean, I guess just baby steps. Don't try to not let everything overwhelm you. Like, it's very easy to get caught up and, have the anxiety and the stress of everything that's going on in the world, which is really intense, overwhelm and take over your mental state. And so just try to take everything like one little step at a time, is kind of how I've been living my life the past few years. I learned that technique of just one foot in front of the other, take it slow. This is a storm, and like every storm, it will pass eventually. So if you don't try not to get too overwhelmed, which I know sounds crazy, but just focus on the little things and it'll get you through the day. And then, by the time you realize it, this will all be over.
Ain't that the truth? And listen to some Beatles while you're at it too, huh?
Great music. It'll get you through anything.
That's what
you just got to find your song.
That's what it's all about. And speaking of, thank you for opening up to us today, and better yet, for giving us the chance to hear this new song, Death by Rock and Roll, acoustically.
We'll see how it goes. Thank you for having us, for me and us, about to be us.
Well, I'm AJ, and here we go. This is Taylor performing the new song, Death by Rock and Roll, here on iHeart Radio.